Alright, you guys, what's up? This is Cujo Sound, Bjorn Jacobsen here. Today we're going to be fooling around in MSP a little bit more. So my friend Daniel Petra asked for maybe we could do some reverb, and no, but we're going to be doing something else with tap delays and so on so that we can create a reverb-like situation that you can be listening to. Let's get to it. Alright, so we have our Max 5 environment here, which is empty. Let's start over from scratch here. And there is this, let's start off by making something really simple with a simple sound. So we can make a new object called DAC exit here, so DAC tilde, so that we can get out of there. Make a new object, and there's one here called click. And if you remember that you can click these inlets here and then choose whatever you want, which then it'll show what type of information it can take, and it can take a bang, which is a button. Actually make a new meter here so that we can see that it's actually working. Right now nothing is happening, but that's because our sound is off. So we create a toggle by pressing T, turn that off, that on, and see whenever we hit this button here, I'm holding control and clicking the button, then there's a small click here. We can actually send this to the output here. And that's just a click. It's just all bits used for one sample, I think. That's at least what I remember. Let's try and do something about this click, and then later on add a sample file player that we can do stuff with. So we can create an object here called tap in, and that needs another object called, oh, not this one, needs another object called tap out. Now let's quickly take a look at the tap in here. You see the tap in takes an input, and then it takes the tap out output here. So this here is the memory in milliseconds that you want to record, and the tap out is the sound that's coming out, and this is the delay of what you want. You can send a value here, which determines the delay time that you want. So if we instead of sending our click to this, we can send, let's say, tap in, and we want it to takes 1,000, and in milliseconds also 1,000. So now whenever I click this button, of course we have to connect it first like this, and the tap in goes here, and this goes here. So now that when I click the button, the click should be 1,000 milliseconds delayed, which means 1 second. And that works. That works great. The cool thing about this is that we can feed this signal here back into the tap in. So what about if we say, let's say tap out here, and add a new multiply tilde, because it's the sound, and we want it to multiply by 0.9, which means that the volume will be ducked about 10%. It's not that bad. We feed it back into here, and then feed the signal back out here. Yay. And you can hear it's fading out slowly. It's which means that it's working as intended. Now that's also because we have a 1,000 millisecond delay here. What if we put in a number box here, just press I for integer and send a number box here, and we write, lock our patch. Let's write 100. And then we have that. Now, what about, why don't we use our new nano control strip 1? These are the buttons. We don't want those. New nano control knobs. Right. Integer by pressing I. So now I can control this value here from 0 to 127. So let's send that here. Nah, we'll do that directly. Here and here and here. So now I'm already using my my nano control down here. Actually, I should record that. So here we are now, right back at this. So I just made this recording so that you can see how I'm using this. So whenever I'm turning this knob, you see the number here increase up. So let's, if we put it like there, we can even make sure that here, if we say nano control knobs, no. Nano control 2, no, not again. There we go. Nano control strip 1, yes. That is using these buttons here. So if we say here a new integer number box connected to this, then this goes to 127. So if we put in a divide, actually, we could say here a new cell 127, and it only bangs if it's 127. So now we could also say that, actually we could also just say that this goes here. And every time I press this button, every time I press this button is activated. So it should right. So if we here, instead of saying it's a delay of, we could say like 99999 like this. That. Let's just kill it. Let's say here maybe 95. So that's how we control our tap in, and it creates a small tail of delays that's going into it. So let's try and control it a little bit more randomly here. We could say that we want a random value, and we want that to be up to let's say up to 100. Yeah, so 100. So every time we bang, if you put in a number box here, every time you bang this, it provides you a number between 0 and 100. It's fairly easy. So what about if we, every time it clicks something, we can use that. So let's make a cycle. This is a new object that we haven't used before in this series. Cycle tilde. Let's say here, if we do like this, 440. If we just send this directly to there, it should just create a 440 hertz tone. Like that. Now, you can put in a new object called number tilde, which then receives this number. You can then clearly see that this, I've used this before, it changes between -1 and +1. So that's basically the cycle of 440 hertz, and that changes. So if you want this number to go between 0 and 1 instead, you can, because you can get the number out here. If you put it in a float box by pressing F, you can do like this. Then you have the number here instead of being the actual sound. So now you have this number here. Now, if we want this number to go from 0 to 1 instead of from I'm at -1, you can always say +1, which means that we add, like if we put in a float box now, you'll see that it goes from, come on, seriously, +1 float, there we are. Adding the dot, and here we go. So now it goes between 0 and 2. So if we put in a new and say divide by 2, float this, and do like this, and have a float box here, that means that we now have a value that goes from 0 to 1 instead of going from -1, which is a really nifty trick of how to change sine waves or anything like that. And you don't want the negative values. So now we have here, like it goes to about 1. So what if we send this value here to this inlet here? So now it's changing constantly like that. And then we could say, so it's randomizing the volume that we have there. So let's do this final thing here. Let's get rid of this. We don't need this right now. The SF play that we used before, it takes a message called open to load whatever sound file we want. And it takes a message called 1 to play and a message called 0 to stop. Press M to create a message. Just type 0 like that. Now up here, this is really smart if you want to do all your have everything look neat and nice. You can always here snap to grid, because that means that we can then do like this and then put in a nice comment box here and say play. There, comment box here is saying stop. This is why comment boxes are really nice, because then you can just do like this. Comment boxes are really nice so that you can keep track of what you're doing. It can get a little bit hairy still, but it works. So in this comment box, we'll say here open sound file, like that. There you go. Now these cables here, it can get a little bit messy, as you can see already. So you can actually multiple select these cables here and press Control-Shift-Y. Then you get this. All the wires gets aligned, which can be really nice. So that we have our SF play here, and we want 2 because it's a stereo file that we're going to load. So right now, as you see, it only has 1 output, and the other one here is bang when it's done playing. So if you write SF play 2, that means it has 2 outputs. Let's put in a meter and a meter, just so that we can make sure that this here works. And we send it to, we'll just use the left one, but you can see that this is how you're going to run with a stereo file. Okay, so if I open here, hold Control, click Open, and I choose my Max Audio 2 file. Yeah, so the file stopped playing. So if we play it again. And that's it. That's a really smart way of creating delays, tap in and tap out. If you do multiple of these, and if you, of course, fiddle around with the volume controls and all these things, you can create really, really nice tails. Also, if you have say tap out delays of only, let's say, a couple of milliseconds, and a couple of these, you spread them out into the various outputs you have, you can actually create really, really nice reverbs. So Daniel Petrus, you're more than welcome to fiddle around with this if you want, but this is how you use delay effects, and it can quite easily, if you have a controller like this Nano Control 2, can become really, really awesome. You can create really awesome tools where you can fiddle around, create really, really, really nice stretchy effects. You can put almost anything into it, and it comes out as really awesome. Hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to go on Patreon to support this channel if you want. Go to Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Everything is basically Instagram.com/Cujo Sound, Facebook.com/Cujo Sound, or on Twitter, then it's of course different, and there it's WhiteNoiseTrash. See you next time.